So the DJI Avata 2 is officially 1 year old. Here's what it's been like flying it over the past year. I think it's there.
In 500 meters, turn left.
So where we want to go is on the other side of this. So let's head over to the first spot. All right, because it is super windy, I can't really concentrate on flying and talking at the same time. I don't want to lose the drone, especially going on that side, which is better. We'll get some B-roll shots while I overlay the Avata 2 footage so you can understand how it is like to fly. Now let's talk about the flying experience with the DJI Avata 2. And starting off with the motion controller, this is where most people will start with because it comes with the kit. The RC2 is extra. And it's okay, personally it's not for me. I did give it a try. I do have plenty of videos showing this and how to use it. And it is nice to have the easy acro settings as well, which you can access from the top menu. And you get a few hurrahs here and there. I do like with the update though, you get this power loop mode being added, and it does make it a little bit more fun and exhilarating, especially if you can't fly in full manual yet. Next thing we'll talk about is the longer flight times that you get with the Avata 2 compared to traditional FPV drones. Approximately 23 minutes, but this is theoretical, not real world. Like today, where it is a windy location, I have to fight the wind a little bit, so I'm probably going to get less flight time. The battery technology in the Avata 2, it uses Li-ion batteries instead of the normal LiPo batteries, which is what we normally fly FPV in. So the difference between this is one, Li-ions are safer, they will give you longer flight times, but they don't have the same like punch or power as they would do with LiPo batteries. These will give you way more power, you can go way faster with a LiPo. However, these do become complicated to charge, and I think this is the why DJI chose to go for this, just for the simplicity and how easy it is, and I'll explain more about this later. The Avata 2 is also a C1 labeled drone, which means it's great, you have less restrictions as it's met certain regulations, and apparently in the UK they have now announced that they're going to be accepting C-label drones in 2026. Hooray, finally we get to use them in more dense areas and near people. Now this drone is light, so it does get pushed around a bit in the wind. So today I am struggling a little bit trying to fly and dive down these clips, but it is manageable. You just have to be aware of it. The other great thing about this drone is that if you're in a bit of a pickle, maybe you're having panic, or maybe you have an itch on your nose, or a fly's bugging you, and trust me, this happens, you can hit that pause button. The drone will just pause midair, you're good to go. And then when you're ready to fly again, just hit it back into manual mode and off you go. That was fun. It also has a GPS, so if you do lose connection or if you do lose signal, then your drone will return to home, and this is a really great benefit. However, you do get a warning in the goggles prior, so you can see the goggles get orange and maybe a red band, and you can check your bit rate when it drops as well. Now, a lot of people have asked me what are the rates I fly, and I've actually just flown stock rates. I haven't changed these one bit. There are others who have changed these. However, before you make adjustments, I recommend trying out stock first before messing around with them, and maybe watch one of Joshua Bardwell's videos to help refine your rates. Now, latency is another issue because a lot of people want the lowest latency possible, but if you're filming in 4K, this isn't the lowest latency. So if you want to have the best reactions, you're going to have to film at 1080p 100 FPS per second, and this will give you the lowest latency of 24 milliseconds. But you could attach an external camera if you want to get the high quality, but it might not fly as well. It depends on what you're doing. Now, when it comes to crashes, I've probably crashed twice.
Oh,
the first one happened when I was in Toronto. It was the first firmware update. Maybe it could have been the yaw tumble that the Avata 2 suffers from, but it wasn't that much of a height. It probably dropped for about 20 feet. Other than the feet getting damaged underneath, no other serious damage, and it was flying no problem. Obviously, if you hit something really hard like a rock and you're going full pelt, it's not going to end well. But it's been really durable. That being said, I'm going to pack up so we can head to the next destination And what we're gonna do is, while I'm doing all this, we'll talk about flying indoors. So this is still usable, but it's limited. Its biggest pro and con are the downward sensors. Now the sensors are there to keep you stable indoors at a steady height and prevent you bobbing up and down that you would get from traditional cinewhoops. And you don't need to require GPS lock. You'll be surprised how many times people have asked me this question. However, the sensors are a pain. If there's not enough ambient light indoors, then it's gonna suffer. Personally, I'll just stick this into normal mode, but you have to adjust the way you fly, using up and down compared to throttle control, which I don't feel is as smooth. Now you could toggle attitude limit, which is found in the goggles menu, but the drone still banks pretty hard and you end up flying into a wall. Personally, I would prefer to fly the Citadel 25 with an additional camera, as it has better flow because of angle mode, and I wish the Avata 2 had this. Now the video quality with the Avata 2 is amazing. You can shoot in a variety of options, but my go-to is 4x3, as this is the most versatile to either crop 16:9 or 9:16. This does, however, limit your field of view a little bit, but it's down to preference. Now if you just want to shoot and then share straight away to social media, stick to the normal color profile. However, if you want the most from this drone, I suggest to use D-Log-M. And all the footage I shoot with my F3, F3S, Avata 2 Action 5 is all in D-Log-M. Now you can just use a DJI conversion LUT, which is free on their website, and it will bring back to standard, but I prefer to use the LUTs that I created as it gives you something extra. Now I actually have a pack available on my website, and if you don't want to waste your time color grading, it's literally just double tap to add to your footage and you're done. It is that easy. It's how I've color graded the footage in this video. Now you can take JPEG photos with the Avata 2, which is a nice option, but it's something I don't use often. But I took these photos of the next spot we're going to visit. And for shits and giggles, I tried my luck making a pano and it worked. Cypress cats are the best. Okay, so while we head to the next destination, I actually want to talk about where I've flown the DJI Avata 2, because I've flown it a lot more than my traditional FPV drone because it travels so well. Now when I first got the DJI Avata 2, I was actually living in Toronto, Canada, and I really enjoyed diving the towers. It's very smooth, and doing barrels coming down was super fun, and the Avata 2 loves this. It's a massive adrenaline rush. Now moving from Canada to Cyprus, my halfway point was Kefalonia, where I travelled and explored the island. And this is the FPV drone of choice because it was just so easy to take with you. And I'll explain a little bit more about the batteries later on in this video. But now living on the island of Cyprus, there's so much more to explore, and one of my favourite places to fly was at Lucky Star Abandoned Theme Park. Just so many gaps to hit and indoors, and it's great for exploring. And finally, something I've been wanting to do was chase cars with an FPV drone, and I finally was able to do this at the Cyprus Rally. The drone did well to keep up, but I was pretty much full throttle most of the time. I love doing a dive down and just following the car from behind or from at an angle. Now before I show you the next fly spot, I do want to briefly mention the Goggles 3, which came out with the Avata 2. I really do like the comfort of these. It's much better than the old V2s. I haven't got the Goggles 2 to compare them to. Now these are really comfortable, especially during longer flights, and it's super easy to adjust with the head strap. And if you haven't got a pair of goggles and it's in your budget, I do recommend them. I love how these also work with the O3 Air unit still, so I can fly my FRC Mark 5, but it doesn't work with Runcam Wasp or the Vistas, which is a shame. Now I do have a setup guide on this if you're interested. I'll put a card up the top here. The screen quality is amazing with the OLED display and has diopter adjustment if you wear glasses. It does have a built-in battery, which some people have complained about, but this I don't mind. The battery on this has been pretty good, and if I need extra juice, I just use a power bank. You can also stream wirelessly to your phone so others can see. And if you use the motion controller, you can use it as a pointer to navigate the menu, which is far quicker than using the buttons. The only weird thing that I'm not a fan of and don't really use is the cameras on the front. The field of view is so narrow, it's pointless. It's quicker just to lift your goggles up. And that's it. I think I found it. I think it's there. It's telling me to go down. Are you sure? It's just so low, this car. The last thing I want to do is get stuck. God, this is like something you get. What's that game? Not DRL. Trip FPV. This is what this location looks like. Now, while we explore the abandoned village, I want to talk about its travel and portability. The Avata 2 is really easy to travel with. Drones, goggles, controller, that's it. The Avata 2 kit comes with a nice black sling bag that fits all your gear. Or if you have your own like me, you could just fit it inside your bag of choice. Compared to traditional FPV, you may need to take a repair kit, tools, charger if you're going on longer trips, and even then if you're charging it isn't as practical for lipos. Also, traditional FPV drones have controllers of various sizes. Some are much larger than DJI's ones, which I like because it's like the PlayStation controller. For instance, when I was traveling Kefalonia, this was easy to throw in my bag depending on my kit for the day and just go. This made it great for spontaneous flights if you ever find that really dope spot to fly at. Just like today's video, I put the Avata 2 in its sling bag and off I went. I would suggest to bring spare props just in case, though I've not had to change them. You would need a mini screwdriver that comes with the drone, but it's hardly a burden. I'm actually using my power bank to charge the drone on the go because for some reason my batteries didn't charge, or I forgot to charge them because I'm a plum. But that Anker power bank is literally charged, well, the drone flight from earlier and the other batteries. So I'm ready to go now. And I've got the car charger as well to charge on the go. So I'm not going to be out of power, which is great. So while we explore this abandoned village with the Avata 2, I'll talk about whether this FPV drone is good for beginners. I'm going to say yes. It's easy to fly with the motion controller, and if you want to level up, you can work your way towards the RC2 and fly as if you would a Mavic drone. And if you want to go full FPV mode, then you can loosen the left stick and fly in manual mode to give you that full ability. It's safe with the prop guard, so you can fly around people and built up areas, hence the C1 label, but do check before you fly though. It's a great exploration drone to check out areas. I've had many comments on other Avata 2 videos that people will have used this drone to explore construction sites and equipment, so it has a use case in the commercial world too. And if you ever get into trouble and maybe feel unnervy, just hit that pause button and the drone pauses and hovers in place. Return to home button so you won't lose the drone. And even if you want to capture or share on the go, I recommend using DJI Lightcut app for auto edits, and it can even correct D-Log-N. I use this app sometimes when I want to share something quick. I'll put a link to that video down below for you too. Alright, so we're leaving fly spot 2. I've got to navigate this treacherous path again. It'll be half an hour before sunset, so first thing will be, this is not going to help with speed. Right, the last spot is my favorite spot. So where we want to go is on the other side of this. Now, are there any accessories I recommend picking up with the Avata 2? There's a few, and these are products I use. So to get natural motion blur in your footage, you need to control your exposure, which means having a shutter speed double your frame rate. But when doing this, your image will be overexposed, so this is where you need ND filters. DJI have a set for $79 US, but I would opt for Freewell's for $99 US, as it has a better range and even includes a UV filter and a polarizer. Next up is the Anker 737 PowerCore 24K. This is the exact charging bank I use and lives in my camera bag. It can deliver up to 140 watts of power, and the Avata 2 batteries charge fast at around 60 watts. This thing is so dope I can charge my MacBook. So if you're on long journeys and traveling to more than one spot, this is great for keeping topped up on the go and not near a power source. Now if you are driving around and need to top up, then the SyncWire Bluetooth 5.4 FM transmitter car adapter is really good. It delivers 36 watts of power for USB-C, so when driving from one destination to the next and on longer drives, then this will happily charge your devices. Plus, you can wirelessly listen to your favorite music by tuning the radio. Lastly, an SD card. The Avata 2 does come with 46 gigabytes of internal storage, but if you're filming in 60, 100 or even 120 frames per second at 4K, that's going to be eaten up real quick. So I recommend at least 128 gigabytes. The one I'm using is 256 gigabytes from Lexa, which is the recommended card by DJI. But I'll leave my recommendations down below. If there's an option for a 2-pack, might as well grab them so you can record footage for your Goggles 3 too. Now, as the sun sets and I'm flying around my favorite spot, what did DJI get right and what needs to be improved? Firstly, the ease of use and transportability. It's fantastic. It's very headache-free for beginners and professionals. It's very smooth flying drone, and DJI made a hybrid drone. It may not excel at freestyle or indoor, but it can do both pretty well. Think of it as if you're playing FIFA, and when selecting a team, you have like this spider diagram. And if a team is really good in attack but shit in defense, the diagram isn't balanced. But if you have an all-round team, then it's really even. And this is what the Avata 2 is like. It just ticks all the boxes. Now, DJI do listen, and they did make a sub 250 FPV with the Neo. It may not be a dedicated FPV, but it's a start. I would love to see a dedicated one for a tiny racing. Right now, we only have the 04A unit. Now, I would love to see better repairability and modular parts, so we can buy replacements for ourselves for non-major or critical components, like the ducts, which can get scuffed. The ability to disable the sensors for smooth indoor flying, I think many of you would agree with that. Or some sort of angle mode for more control without full manual. So after 1 year, would I recommend the DJI Avata 2? I'm gonna say yes. It does have a few things that can be improved, but it's still such a great flying drone. I mean, if you have this drone, let me know in the comment section down below. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? If you're interested in this drone, let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and check out my playlist as well, because if you just bought it and you need to get to grips with it quick, there's a playlist that will help you with that so you can understand it. As you can see, today's video was chaotic, so I'd appreciate if you give it a like, subscribe for future videos on drones, photography and everything in between, and I'll see you in the next video.